Picture this. It's 3:47 in the morning, and once again you find yourself staring wide-eyed at the ceiling. It's the third time tonight. Your heart is pounding, as if you've just run a marathon, yet you remain perfectly still in your bed. Right now, your cortisol levels are 400% higher than they should be. That's not a typo, 400%. And this silent hormone surge is literally aging your brain cells at twice the normal rate while you desperately count sheep. Under normal conditions, cortisol levels should be at their lowest between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. It's precisely during those hours that your muscles repair themselves, your memory consolidates, and your blood pressure stabilizes. But modern habits, late-night smartphone scrolling, hidden sugars in seemingly healthy snacks, dehydration, and the wrong timing for medication, trick your brain into thinking it's still daytime. When this happens, cortisol levels skyrocket, up to 400% above normal, jolting you out of sleep like a merciless alarm clock. And here's the truly terrifying part. Every time this happens, your body releases glucose into the bloodstream, your heart rate increases, and deep sleep cycles shorten. If you continue this way for months or even years, research shows that your risk of stroke, memory loss, and muscle decline doubles. So, if you're constantly waking up at night, your cortisol curve is most likely completely inverted and your body is stuck in survival mode. But there's good news. Scientists have discovered that some natural compounds found in everyday foods can lower nighttime cortisol levels in just a few minutes, helping your body return to repair mode. And the best part? You only need one spoonful. There's no need to resort to expensive supplements, fancy pills, or sleep medications. Today, I'll reveal 6 powerful one-spoon remedies that calm the nervous system, rebalance cortisol, and help you fall asleep again quickly, all backed by science. Number 2 left researchers speechless because it worked faster than prescribed sedatives in a clinical trial, yet it's present in practically every kitchen. Before we begin, though, a quick question for you. Where are you looking at this from? And now, without further ado, let's start with number 6. It's a golden liquid, and science shows that it can calm your nervous system before you even close your eyes. Number 6. Raw apple cider vinegar with the mother. That cloudy, murky substance floating in raw apple cider vinegar, which many find disgusting, is actually a collection of beneficial bacteria and enzymes that directly influence the gut-brain axis, the highway between your digestive system and your stress response center. When you take a tablespoon of raw apple cider vinegar in about 120 milliliters of warm water, about 30 minutes before bed, something remarkable happens to your blood sugar levels. It's a connection most people never make with their sleep problems. Your glucose levels stabilize instead of plummeting at 2 a.m., triggering the reaction that prompts your adrenal glands to pump out emergency cortisol as if your life depended on it. A study from Arizona State University found that people who drank apple cider vinegar before bed had 4% lower blood sugar levels in the morning. It might not seem like much until you realize that this is the difference between a body that panics at night and one that stays calm. The acetic acid in vinegar slows the conversion of complex carbohydrates into sugar, essentially putting a speed limit on your digestion that prevents those nocturnal glucose crashes. Your liver also starts producing less glucose at night when apple cider vinegar is in your system, which means your pancreas doesn't have to work overtime and release stress hormones. Margaret, from Detroit, woke up every night at 2 a.m. with her heart pounding until she started taking her acid shot, as she calls it. Now he sleeps until 6 a.m. without waking up once. The key is to use the raw, unfiltered kind with his mother. That's where the probiotics live, helping regulate the gut bacteria that produce cortisol. Your grandmother called it a home remedy, but modern science is proving she was more right than she imagined. And this is just the beginning of what a single spoonful can do. If you like what you're discovering, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Number 5. Magnesium glycinate powder. Your muscles are literally suffocating from magnesium deficiency right now, and that deficiency is forcing your nervous system to stay in fight or flight mode all night, pumping out cortisol like there's a tiger in your bedroom. A spoonful of magnesium glycinate powder in water before bed doesn't just relax your muscles. It actually blocks the receptors in your brain that cortisol uses to keep you nervous and worried. Here's the shocking part. 68% of Americans are magnesium deficient. But if you're over 60, that number rises to 84%. And every single one of them has elevated nighttime cortisol as a direct result. The glycinate form is crucial because it crosses the blood-brain barrier, unlike the cheaper magnesium oxide, which only causes intestinal problems without improving sleep. When researchers at the University of Medical Sciences in Iran gave older adults with insomnia 500 milligrams of magnesium for 8 weeks, their cortisol levels dropped by an average of 35%, and they gained nearly an hour of deep sleep per night. Your body uses magnesium to produce GABA, the neurotransmitter that tells the brain to calm down and stop producing stress hormones. But without enough magnesium, it's like trying to put out a fire without water. The powdered form works faster than pills because it doesn't have to be broken down by the digestive system. It begins to be absorbed through the tissues of the mouth the moment you drink it. Robert, a retired mechanic from Phoenix, told me he thought his racing thoughts at night were just part of getting older until his daughter introduced him to magnesium powder. After just 3 nights, he no longer woke up in panic. You specifically need the glycinate form because it's bound to glycine, an amino acid that has calming effects and helps transport magnesium directly into cells where it can suppress cortisol production. Dosage is also important. A level tablespoon of most magnesium glycinate powders provides about 400 milligrams. This is the ideal point for sleep without causing digestive problems. Mix it with about 180 milliliters of warm water and drink it slowly over 5 minutes, not all at once, because drinking it too quickly can cause a sudden drop in blood pressure, which, ironically, triggers a stress response. This mineral is so critical for controlling nighttime cortisol that sleep researchers now consider magnesium deficiency a primary cause of nighttime awakenings in older adults. Stay with me because number 4 is even more amazing. Number 4. Sour cherry juice concentrate. Scientists were absolutely astonished when they discovered that tart cherry juice contains the highest natural concentration of melatonin found in any food. But that's not even the most potent way to reduce nighttime cortisol. A tablespoon of tart cherry concentrate mixed with water contains compounds called anthocyanins that effectively block the inflammatory pathways that trigger cortisol spikes in the middle of the night, acting as a natural anti-inflammatory that specifically targets sleep disruption. Researchers at Louisiana State University found that older adults with chronic insomnia who drank tart cherry juice twice daily increased their sleep time by 84 minutes per night and had significantly lower inflammatory markers that normally trigger cortisol spikes. The concentrate is about 20 times more potent than regular tart cherry juice because all the sleep-promoting compounds are condensed, so you only need a spoonful instead of drinking a whole glass that would make you pee all night. When your body detects inflammation, even low-grade inflammation from arthritis or aging, it pumps out cortisol as part of the immune response. But tart cherries contain specific flavonoids that tell the immune system to stay calm. The natural melatonin in tart cherries is also bound to other compounds that make it absorbed more slowly and last longer than synthetic melatonin pills. That's why people don't have that groggy feeling when they wake up the next morning. Your pineal gland normally produces melatonin to counteract cortisol at night, but after age 60, melatonin production decreases by up to 50%, leaving cortisol free to wreak havoc on your sleep. Look specifically for Montmorency tart cherry concentrate, as that variety has been studied the most. Mix 1 tablespoon in about 180 milliliters of water about 30 minutes before bed. And don't be surprised if it tastes super tart. That tartness comes from the same compounds that lower inflammation and cortisol. It's not just about a good night's sleep. Consistent use of tart cherry concentrate has been shown to reduce overall disruption of the cortisol rhythm, meaning your stress hormones start to follow a normal pattern instead of going crazy at 2 a.m. Which brings us to something even more powerful that most people have never heard of. Before continuing, comment below if you've tried any of these remedies. I'd love to hear your story. Number 3. Ashwagandha root powder. This ancient herb, which no one can pronounce correctly, is literally called horse smell in Sanskrit because it's supposed to give you the strength and calm of a stallion. But what it really does is act as a master switch for the entire stress response system. A spoonful of ashwagandha powder in warm milk or water contains compounds called withanolides that physically block cortisol receptors in the brain, essentially placing a do not disturb sign that stress hormones can't ignore. A study published in the Indian Journal of Psychological Medicine found that people taking ashwagandha saw their cortisol levels drop by an average of 44% in just 60 days, with the most dramatic reductions during nighttime hours when cortisol should naturally be at its lowest. Your adrenal glands, those tiny hormone factories sitting atop your kidneys, work themselves out pumping out cortisol all day, and ashwagandha helps them reset and fall back into a normal rhythm instead of going haywire at night. This herb is what's called an adaptogen, meaning it helps the body adapt to stress rather than numbing it like a sleeping pill. So build resilience over time instead of dependence. The research on ashwagandha and sleep is so compelling that the World Health Organization has recognized it as a traditional medicine worthy of study for anxiety and insomnia. Mix a level tablespoon into about 240 milliliters of warm milk. Vegetable or regular either works, because the fat aids absorption and the warmth makes it soothing. Think of it as nature's bedtime cocktail. Some people say it has an earthy or bitter taste, and it is. But you can add a pinch of cinnamon or nutmeg to make it more pleasant without interfering with its effects. The cortisol-lowering effects are cumulative, meaning it becomes more effective the longer you take it, with most people seeing maximum benefits after about 8 weeks of nightly use. What makes ashwagandha especially powerful for older adults is that it also supports thyroid function. And now we come to number 2. Raw honey from local sources. The fructose and glucose in raw honey create a perfectly balanced fuel reserve that prevents your liver from panicking at night and triggering what's called the dawn phenomenon, a huge surge in cortisol that occurs when your brain thinks you're starving. A spoonful of raw, unprocessed honey before bed provides just enough glycogen to the liver to last through the night without triggering insulin spikes that would wake you up, acting as a sustained-release energy source that keeps cortisol at bay. Scottish researchers have discovered that drinking honey before bed reduces the production of stress hormones by up to 50% and increases the release of melatonin through a mechanism involving the conversion of tryptophan in the brain. But here's the critical part that most people miss. It must be raw honey, not the processed kind in the bear-shaped jar. Because processing destroys the enzymes and compounds that regulate the stress response, raw honey contains over 200 biologically active compounds, including quercetin and pinosembrin, which cross the blood-brain barrier and literally calm the neurons that trigger the release of cortisol. By reducing the inflammatory responses that can trigger nighttime cortisol, Sarah, a grandmother from Oregon, swears that switching from melatonin pills to a spoonful of raw honey stopped her nighttime palpitations and hasn't looked back. The key is to take it directly from the spoon about 20 minutes before bed, not mix it with tea or water, which dilutes its effects and affects the rate of absorption. Some people worry about the sugar content, but honey's unique combination of fructose and glucose actually stabilizes blood sugar levels instead of raising them. Studies on shift workers with completely disrupted cortisol rhythms found that honey consumption helped restore normal patterns within 2 weeks, even in people who had struggled for years. Raw honey also contains small amounts of magnesium, potassium, and B vitamins, which support the parasympathetic nervous system. The rest and digest system counteracts stress hormones. Don't use more than a tablespoon, however, because excessive amounts can have the opposite effect and raise your blood sugar enough to wake you up. It's about precision, not thinking more is better. Which brings us to number 1, the most powerful cortisol-busting substance that will absolutely blow your mind. Don't give up now. This will change everything. Number 1, glycine powder. This simple amino acid, which your body uses to produce collagen, is the most underrated sleep supplement on the planet. And when Japanese researchers studied it in people with chronic insomnia, they discovered something that should have made headlines everywhere. A tablespoon of glycine powder, about 3 grams, taken before bed lowers core body temperature by acting on NMDA receptors in the brain. This signals the body that it's time to sleep and simultaneously turns off cortisol production, like flipping a switch. Researchers found that glycine reduced the time it takes to fall asleep by 38%, decreased nighttime awakenings by 50%, and, even more impressively, lowered cortisol levels throughout the night, not just at bedtime. Your body temperature naturally needs to drop about 2 degrees for deep sleep to occur. But when cortisol is elevated, it keeps the temperature high and the brain alert. Glycine overcomes this by forcing a drop in temperature through the dilation of peripheral blood vessels. What's absolutely incredible is that glycine is the main inhibitory neurotransmitter in the spinal cord and brainstem, which means it literally tells the entire nervous system to shut down and stop producing stress signals. People taking glycine report not only falling asleep faster, but staying asleep all night without that 3 a.m. wake-up call from cortisol that ruins everything. The powder form is crucial because glycine pills often don't dissolve properly and miss their absorption window. You need it to hit your system quickly to trigger the temperature drop and neurotransmitter cascade. Frank, a Texas veteran who hadn't slept a full night since his deployment 15 years ago, called glycine his miracle powder. After giving him his first full night's sleep in over a decade, he mixes a spoonful in about 4 oz of water right before bed. It has a slightly sweet taste, like sugar water, making it easier to take than other supplements. The effects are felt within 30 minutes, like a wave of calm freshness washing over you. And unlike sleeping pills, you wake up feeling rested rather than drugged, because glycine actually improves the quality of your sleep, rather than simply numbing you. This isn't some exotic herb from a remote mountain. It's an amino acid your body already uses, just not in enough quantities to combat modern stress and the cortisol chaos it creates. The 6 substances I've just revealed to you aren't magic pills or expensive prescriptions. They're simple, natural compounds that work with your body's existing systems to restore the peaceful nights you remember from decades ago. The beauty is that many of these can be safely combined. Imagine taking your glycine with a spoonful of raw honey, or following your magnesium with tart cherry juice, creating a personalized cortisol-lowering routine that works for your specific sleep challenges. If you have any questions or want to share your personal experience, please feel free to leave a comment below. We're always here to help. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more health secrets. Leave a like if this video was helpful and share it with your loved ones. Thanks for watching. See you soon.